everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're reading a fic that is going to be one of two episodes for my Christmas episodes this year. Or hopefully next year I can dial it back, but it's okay. This fic is rated to general audiences and no archive warnings apply. Snowdrop by Kooky. Read by FrogFan14. Words 4,615. Chapters 1. So, Harry, what do you want for Christmas? I want to play with you. Aw, that's so sweet. Thank you, but is there anything else you want or something you want to do? Well, maybe. An average day in late November until it starts snowing. And maybe his friends and father figures make it all better. Notes. So, the Christmas special. Well, I did this while in the car, not driving XD. BC, I wanted to spend all my time before writing this. Oop. And my phone can't use Word, or I can't and look at the docs text, but that's literally it. So I had to make a draft on my laptop and then finish up posting on my very mid-phone. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this fluff fic with a dash of crack. Well, maybe I should tag that. I don't know how to tag. It's okay. Chapter 1. So, Harry, what do you want for Christmas? I want to play with you. Aw, that's so sweet. Sorry, mic fell. Thank you, but is there anything else you want, or something you want to do? Well, maybe. He watched as the other students kept running, sweat dripping from their heads as they vaulted over buildings and ducked under pipes. Even in being winter, the cold was no relief to the heat and strain of training at UA. The endurance obstacle course, of course Aizawa was running today, was no exception, and seeing the man himself out of the corner of his eye, Izuku could swear his teacher was smirking at their suffering. Hey, at least it wasn't summer. Taking one last swig from his water bottle, Izuku reluctantly returned to his class, setting himself up at the start of the line before sprinting off. It was a realistic city landscape, and he still wondered where the impressive budget must have come from, as the buildings and rooftops flickered past his vision. Without one overall, Izuku could rely on his muscles for long months of hauling fridges, but sometimes with All Might on top. Among the rest of the trash from the beach, he didn't have too many close calls. His arms had enough grip strength to sweat ink on those pipes. While his legs were weaker, he still managed to clear those jumps well, especially compared to some of his classmates like Aoya. Barely jumping across a few umps, and managed struggling to reach some grips. Oh, the woes of being short. Izuku could certainly relate, even if it wasn't to that degree. Woo, go Deku! He briefly waved at Uraraka, who was doing really well before continuing on with the course. No need to attract Aizawa-sensei's attention for slacking off. Rolling under a particularly low bar, climbing down the fire escape and dropping to the ground before working on the ground level area. His breath quickened as his heartbeat pulsed rapidly with the increased energy he was putting in. A dodge left. He was sweating, the wet feeling dripping down his face. Slightly annoying, even when he just wiped it off not so long ago. He felt colder than he expected. Probably that winter weather. And the sharp turn. Or maybe it was Todoroki up ahead. He can do that. Does Todoroki passively change the temperature around him? How does that fit in with his quirk? Why not become hotter? He kept running through, seeing and passing some of the other various students in the class. Todoroki ahead, but the gap narrowing. Izuku was pretty sure Kacchan was somewhere behind him. And as strong as he was, Kacchan was never built for agility, particularly quirkless. As was expected in this obstacle course, his quirk control was refined, maybe from all the practice over the years, but his body was prepared to attack on the offensive, then dodge and maneuver, like Izuku, who was always running. But as much as Kacchan was important to him, that train of thought was irrelevant at the moment. Hey, Todoroki! Midoriya. So I finally caught up! That makes sense, you're more agile than me. Yeah, did you see Isu? She's doing great. Maybe how strangely cold he was getting, or how his body was tiring, it made him slow and conversing with Todoroki. Maybe if they'd been running full force, it wouldn't have happened, and they wouldn't have been there. Then he wouldn't know. Right before he can react, Todoroki is glancing up, his eyes widening, and shoving the two of them out of the way. Izuku's vision is a block with a flurry of white. Shoto was watching lazily as his students ran the course, looping over and over, eventually coming out for breaks to gulp water and slow their heartbeat, resting their weary muscles before they got back onto it. He keeps an eye on those easily distracted. Ashido and Hagakure really need to stop gossiping while drinking water. But he smirks at their weary faces, and they know not to expect anything easy from the man, and maybe any part of him was proud of overall progress. Problem Child just ran back, starting around a similar time as Sue and Kirishima, the former pulling ahead while the latter passes through at a slower pace. It makes sense. Kirishima was always more of a tank type, rushing forward with his defense laid out for him due to his quirk. But he wasn't horrible at the activity, about what Shota expected. Bakugo was doing a little worse than he would have thought, but it also made sense. Overall, his students were doing fine at their different personal levels. So during their next class, focusing on this, he'd advance some of them up to a harder course and shake it up. Idly using his scarf to pull Hagakure away from me, not glaring at the duo, he vaguely registers a creaking sound at the far end, where Todoroki and the problem child, chatting. Clearly trying to catch their breath, though they shouldn't be getting distracted in training. He has a bad feeling. Bring Hagakure, resigned to the fact that she is only going to keep talking with her friend, he moves forward, not a stroll, but this doesn't call for a sprint. Yes, it does. And the pipe, he doesn't like this. It's creaking, and he's speeding up. Todoroki glances upwards, but Shota can't see his expression, and the pipe is leaning, pulling, falling down. And the students tumble away as Shota reaches out desperately with his scarf. Please don't let them be crushed. With a Todo! And a BAM! Resounds through the training ground. Everything freezes. Literally. Everything started at where the pipe fell. That shouldn't have happened. Still, they were going through a photograph. Sue looked back, eyes widened and teary, while Koda tried to look away, leaning against Shoji's chest. Uraraka's hands covered her mouth. Their eyes were assaulted by a shiny, pure, glistening white. Snow. He didn't know Todoroki could produce snow. Maybe it was through some combination of his quirk, like heating ice for water. Or maybe Todoroki's quirk just had more to it than he realized. Shaking his head and breaking out of the trance, the scene starts moving again. The class murmuring, worried, and fidgeting, as Shota rushed forward, seeing what looked like a glitter bomb explosion with snow instead of glitter, surrounding his two students just shy of the pipe. Thank God. Todoroki's arms embraced Midoriya's body, the boy far too pale and shivering, and far too intensely to not concern the man. Todoroki desperately, despite his face being famously ever neutral, is definitely shocked. When Midoriya seems plain terrified. Not quite the expression he expected, but they did almost get crushed by a falling pipe. I'll have to talk to Nezu about that. Todoroki and Problem Child, please exit the course. We'll end class here, but you aren't dismissed yet. Please try not to be too rowdy. His voice echoes, and suddenly the students are scrambling and running, strolling a bit tensely, or reluctantly leaving, depending on the person. Uraraka approaches, but a sharp look on Oda's behalf causes her to look down and walk out after her peers, and then looking at his students, snow emitting from them and drifting lazily in the afternoon light. What is on the floor melting so slowly? Todoroki, could you please stop your quirk? Problem Child is clearly freezing. When nothing happens, Shota uses his quirk, hoping to stop up Todoroki's quirk so they can get checked over and Problem Child freezes. Then Problem Child doesn't freeze to death. Nothing happens. Turning to his Problem Child slowly and opening his mouth, he pauses. The snow stopped. When he's looking at it, use this quirk on Problem Child. What? I want to see snow. Oh, like in the storybook we were reading? It's not Odd forecast to snow around here this year. Maybe we could schedule a trip. I'll try my best, Eri. Okay, Mr. Deku. His eyes slowly blink open, black haze fading away. He wasn't cold anymore. He didn't feel normal, though. Temperature sense, sure, but nothing inside him was different. Like he was fuller, something extra inside of him. Izuku slowly sat up, looking around on the med bay. He'd become so familiar with the number of times he's broken his arm due to One For All. Sitting in the chair beside his bed was Aizawa. Eyelids drooped, but probably awake. Sensei? His voice came out almost a whisper, all croaky and full of breath. The man sat up looking at him with his signature hard but soft eyes. What happened? What is the last thing you remember? Izuku thought hard. He'd been running around the course, and he caught up to Todoroki, and then, held snow, and there was a lot of white. It was really cold. His homeroom teacher, slightly exasperated but not angry, he thought it was more of the situation himself. I believe that was your quirk, which also caused the side effects of mild hypothermia. I don't know why or how, but it was you. I looked and it stopped the snow. Recovery girl and I did go over your records, though we plan to wait for you to wake up for a checkup. And Izuku's teacher probably had so many questions. But what went unsaid, because the heroine knew about One For All, and didn't need to ask about the quirk history or the extra pinky toe, no joint, but if Aizawa seen that, and we tried to get a hold of your mother, but we couldn't. She's your only emergency contact. This Izuku could answer. Yeah, my mom works hospital shifts, and Dad's been working abroad for years, and we don't really have any more family or friends. Though Dad did come home recently. Can I give you his number? That would be helpful. Thank you, Midoriya. I'll call him after your checkup. Now rest. If you don't, Recovery Girl will be out for my head, and I need to give you a checkup and maybe help with the whole quirk situation. Quickly typing his dad's numbers to his teacher's phone, he watched as his teacher stood up to leave, only to call out when the man got to the door. Izuku's voice was still rough and quiet, but his teacher heard anyway. Could I talk to my dad? Could I call my dad and talk to him about this? Aizawa thought about it briefly before responding. Sure, kid. He says it wasn't expecting a call so soon. Yes, he was back in Japan. Of course, he never actually left, but had things to attend to that he couldn't really discuss with them, and visited his wife and son, but was there tension? A whole lot of it. And he hadn't moved back in with them yet, so he figured his son held more of a grudge. Maybe felt a bit better because Hisashi admitted that he'd been an asshole to leave like that. He didn't really know how to say, oh yeah, I needed to get my face reconstructed because it got smashed in when I fought the #1 pro hero, All Might, without extra question. And he really needed to stabilize some things among his pawns and plans, so a business trip it was. Though he did love Inko and his son, he could see they were coming to hate him. He did also often forget to send money among everything, which would appear like a shifty move and limit the visibility of his cover. So yeah, he was a terrible dad. But unmistakably the ringtone he had set for his son. Doctor, keep stabilizing the Nomu. I need to answer this call. If Tomura comes, tell him I'm talking with an associate. And if he needs to wait for more Nomus, and he needs to wait for more Nomus. If he's desperate, I'd give him the faulty ones, the ones that only follow commands through whatever plan he has bound to fail. We don't need to waste more of the good ones right now. Of course, Sensei. Thank you. And Hisashi left to another private room, finally picking up the call. He'd made his son wait long enough. Izuku? Dad, Mom, I'm still on shift, so I can't talk to her, so I guess I had to call you. He figured she wasn't his son's first choice. My teacher will call soon too, but something really weird just happened. Ah, so it finally happened. So, what happened in All I Know? Do you have any idea why I have a quirk manifesting right now? Oh, I'm not really meant to. He'd conveniently left out everything about One For All. His father didn't need to know. And he knew this was unrelated because the whole manifest past users quirk thing. He knew what said quirks were, and Snow was unrelated. In every possible way. This was impossible. And there was only one other explanation. He had never been quirkless. Quirk misdiagnosis happened, though with clear distinction between quirked and quirkless individuals, but misdiagnoses relating to having a quirk or not were extremely rare. You could either be a rare individual whose body presented differently, or your childhood pediatrician screwed up big time. Izuku, I can hear the gears in your head spinning, but I think I have an explanation. Dr. Tsubasa was the one who took you, correct? I remember not being there. A pause, almost as if he wasn't in memory. But I heard recently that office was closed due to lack of proper qualification, and the staff often mixed up documentation, etc. So you were probably misdiagnosed. Izuku stiffened. So he hadn't been quirkless. Vaguely remembered hearing about that office. He was pretty sure Dr. Tsubasa had gone missing too. Okay, thank you. Do you have any idea of anything about the quirk? Izuku listens as his father explains on how someone on his mother's side had a minor weather manipulation type quirk, and that he or his mom would check the family's history before Recovery Girl walks in. Aizawa sensei trailing behind. My teacher just walked in. That was actually helpful. Thanks, Dad. I might call you later. Aizawa sensei will. Here's a quick goodbye, son, on his father's hand before hanging up the call and facing his teachers, ready for the checkup, even though he was certainly not excited for it. Hisashi may not have said a few lies. Maybe, he couldn't really say that he got his associate to misdiagnose his son for undercover purposes, considering there was a risk of Izuku inheriting All For One, and how the clinic being shut down for malpractice was just a cover, so people didn't notice the missing Dr. Tsubasa, and the part where he took his son's quirk for safety reasons, to keep up with the lie, and, Izuku did not need to be like Yoichi, and maybe Hisashi wanted a piece of his child with him. But Izuku seemed to be at it anyway with the heroism, and it seemed easier to give the kid his quirk back. Maybe it was messed up, but he was All For One. And he made it up, so it was fine. Everything was going wrong because of that stupid quirk. Aizawa now knew about One For All because they couldn't lie, and he seemed mad that he didn't know earlier. All Might said to keep it a secret, and now multiple people know. His walls seemed to close in on him. Izuku couldn't tell if All Might's face is plastered everywhere, was comforting, or just adding to the suffocating feeling clawing at his chest. He didn't have the toe joint. His father was right. His father, and teachers theorized about it and figured he was a late bloomer requiring a specific trigger to activate it for the first time. Well, what was all those years he was getting One For All, or even four, even the playing field, it was based on a lie? Everything was based on a lie? And that all hurt for something that wasn't even true. He could make snow and redirect heat to adapt the environment for it, so the snow wouldn't melt, emitting it from his body or making it fall from the sky. The realm of the gods seemed to be laughing at him. Why did he get his quirk now? Everything was okay, but then this just had to slap him in the face? The trauma was pointless, baseless. His pain was unwarranted for something that wasn't even true. Because yes, discrimination is wrong, but they were discriminating against him for being quirkless when he wasn't even. Where was his quirk back then? When would it have helped him when he needed it? Why was his life so goddamn unfair? He would have killed this for this a year and a half ago. All until that fateful day, and that reminder made his heartache. Izuku Midoriya did not want his quirk. Kid, Shota was right to be worried. This was his problem child curled up on the bed. It didn't seem to be a panic attack, but the kid was clearly very upset. At first, Shota wanted to give the kid space. He definitely needed it and support. And Shota needed to clarify that he wasn't mad at the kid. Talking to All Might made it clear that the man needed to think things through better, but Shota really should have known from the beginning, or at least earlier, what was going on to support the kid. Maybe not on the first day at A because they didn't even know each other, and the USJ, the sports festival. Well, Shota didn't know when he should have known, but he wished he did. All Might dumped a burden on a child, and Shota just wished that child had and could get more support. But All Might clearly lacked good intentions and care, and brought the problem child like a son. And maybe Shota did too, but he had to compete against Hisashi Midoriya to pick out which one of the three he should be the kid's father, but Shota would never admit that. Either way, not matter their past grievances, as he needed to comfort a distressed child. Can I come in? Sure. The kid's voice hurt to hear, but this time it was due to the emotion. Noting the kid shuffled over. A silent invite. Shota sat next to him on the bed, blatantly ignoring all the All Might merchandise pouring out of the room in favor of one Eraserhead poster. It looked hand-drawn. Shota's heartstrings pulled. I can't say I explicitly understand what you're going through right now, kid. That sort of thing has never happened to me. The kid looked up slowly, grimace on his face regarding the topic of his still unnamed quirk. But I do understand it hurts, especially after whatever life experiences you had. Shota didn't need to say it out loud, but he had read the statistics. He knew how incredibly lucky they were, or that the boy was right here breathing right now. He knew how unlucky the kid was probably growing up. I was bullied a lot. People hit me and left flowers, red spider lilies on my desk. That's where the name Deku, useless, came from. And it feels like it was all pointless, and I know it was wrong. The boy pauses, despite his heavy heart, at the child's words. He was just so glad that his problem child felt comfortable enough to open up. But it feels like a lie. Why did it happen? Why was I bullied for not having a quirk when I did? Because people suck. Shota is almost surprised at the words suddenly tumbling out of his mouth. He was planning to listen more, and he needs to affirm to this kid that what he feels is okay. It was extremely wrong of them to do that to you, but I won't say it was pointless. Horrible, yes, but I imagine it has shaped you. Even if you were a kind, empathetic, beautiful person from Earth, you would understand what it's like to be kicked down from society. I really think that really drives you to be a hero. You want to save everyone, like you weren't. I'm sorry about that, and people didn't like me either. Called my quirk villainous, and I lost people along the way, so I know what it is to hurt. Promise me you'll talk to me. The kid nods. That's not enough for now. That's enough for now. And just like Todoroki, well, I won't force you, but that it is a good quirk, or a tool you can use to help others, or even have fun. It might feel wrong to you, and you might hate it, but it's yours. You could definitely talk to Todoroki about that for multiple reasons. Similarity being one of them, and I'll allow you to mess around with it for a bit if you want. I'll just say it's practice, but I know your classmates will be happy to help with that. A chuckle. You're an amazing person and a wonderful hero, Midoriya. Call me Izuku. I look up to you a lot. Always have, you know. Shota's eyes trails back to the poster as he pulls his kid in, sobbing into his chest. But the world suddenly feels much lighter. All Might, can I talk to you about something? Oh yeah, Midoriya! Of course. Do you want to talk here, or a classroom, or a meeting room? Maybe the meeting room. He sat down on the couch, soft and touched a baby blue, who, as All Might sat down on the seat across from the coffee table. His eyes trained on the ground, fingers tugging at his blazer, shielding from as much as possible from the cold winter weather. What if he thinks I lied? What if he thinks I should focus on the other quirk? What if he doesn't think I'm tiring or worthy of attention or undeserving. What if he wants one for all back? Izuku glances up before tearing his eyes away just as fast. He doesn't look happy. My boy, is everything alright? His voice was filled with so much concern. So much that captured Izuku's gaze. Once more and held it. His heart had sunk. He was there in the midst of pulling it back up, but his brain seemed intent on insulting him. Because he was so stupid. This was All Might. He knows logically this should not change the man's opinion of him. How would a quirk no one knew about change their past experiences? It was irrational, but either way, he would talk to his other parental figure, teacher. I thought you might hate me for it, but I don't think that anymore. But you should know. Is this regarding what happened in your training exercise with Aizawa-kun? Ah, so he already knows. Slowly, Izuku nods his head, looking up at his once idol, now mentor, through his bangs. So, I have another quirk. Well, my boy, that could be very useful as a hero. I assume now that it's manifested, it might also be enhanced by One for All. But you'll only get to train it enhanced, so we probably won't know the difference or how it has changed. I personally never had a quirk, but my master did, so I may have some advice on enhanced quirks, if you would like. Know that no matter what happens, what you do, or what happens to you, I'll always care for you and support you. Really? His heart still clenched, but the man kept on tying the knots. Izuku honestly couldn't believe his luck, to be surrounded by these amazing people, heroes and heroes-to-be, who have always been so kind to him, always will support. He's so glad that All Might gave him the opportunity. This man cared, looked out for him, and even tried to teach him, even if it wasn't his forte. Standing up and walking around the table, Izuku wrapped his arms around the older man's chest, who returned the hug just as enthusiastically. All Might really was the best hero. Thank you. Midoriya. He looked up at his father figure of a teacher. The man was wrapped in on a yellow sleeping bag, tired as ever, but there was a glint in his eyes. Area wished for snow, yes? So I just yeet? Todoroki looked at him, furrowed eyebrows and a serious expression. Yes, it's not on fire, but it's snow. It's practically except so much shaping. Just eat it! Izuku was scared of where this was going. Screwing up his face, he tries to imagine what Todoroki is saying, in tandem with trying to redirect the heat away from him so the snow would last longer. Todoroki's advice was very interesting, but so far surprisingly helpful. Oomph! He opens his eyes to see Todoroki buried under a pile of snow. Oops. Hey! Uraraka bounced up to him. What are the odds of you making it snow? Oh, you need to practice, yeah? And it's not on forecast to snow. Maybe you can make some for Eri? That's the plan, he smiled. He grabbed her wrist. While sometimes he might find that awkward, her pure excitement that radiated off her was infectious. He couldn't sit still, so he followed her out to the front of their dorm building, where some of their other classmates were, including the whole Deku squad. He still felt awkward about the name, but he was glad to see his friends. It's important to ensure you have proper control over your quirk. I agree with Ida-kun. It'll be fun. Ghetto? If worse comes to worse, I'll follow Todoroki and he can make some ice chunks. No thanks. They watch as he pulls as much heat as he can from the sky and towards himself, then focusing on the ice crystals from the sky. The first snowflake falls right onto Bakugo's nose. He doesn't even groan, just looks away with his hand shoved in his pocket. He grins. They cheer. Welcome to Winter Wonderland. It has been a month since that day, a month of questioning Todoroki's existence, training with the rest of his class, excited over him and his quirk. The month before Christmas, just enough to make everything perfect for her. Whoa! 1A Heights Alliance was surrounded by snowflake, like dusting the windows and the seams shimmering out of a storybook. There were some unpeers outside. Kodo was trying to make animals in the snow with assistance of Shoji and Tokoyami, while Kaminari and Ashido tried to make snow angels. It was fun for them. Izuku could see it in their eyes, and it invited Eri to join in too. As she ran towards Tokoyami, still holding a snowbird and an apple. How did he even make that so well? Izuku follows, grin stretching across his face, even if it hurts. Or the world fails him, he'll do his best to save people, to live, to be kind, to help Eri smile, to sustain this warm feeling inside of him that is so much more than redirected heat. To live with the people who care about him and he cares about, to enjoy these moments together. Scooping up some of the snow at his feet and patting it into a ball, he throws it towards Eri, getting her back. Hey! That is his gift. Notes. I hope you enjoyed this fulfilled and whatever fluff you had. And have a Merry Christmas / Happy New Year / Happy Holidays, celebrating what you celebrate, or just have a nice day. Smiley emoticon. And please give me reading advice. I got bad English grades for a reason. Anyways, now I can finish that random fic on New Year. There's for my friend after all this random stuff finally gotten to what I'm excited for. And how do you feel about the Midoriya X social media? Multiple smiley faces. So that was Snowdrop. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, I will be linking back to the original fic in the description. And seriously, guys, just pop over there and give comments or kudos. Maybe even read the original fics, because I know for a fact I messed up in some parts. But hey, we're all human here. Well, that was it, and have a good night, frogs, and have a very Merry Christmas. I'll be posting the second fic soon.